If painting is music, fire is one of its instruments. To say that the brush of Jean Boghossian burns is not an hyperbole, but a literal fact, because the instrument favored by the Lebanese artist of Armenian origin is the oxydric flame, and all his poetics revolve around fire. Jean Boghossian represents Armenia at the 57th Venice Biennale with the Unquenchable Flame in the rooms of Ca Zenobio. Our guide is another Armenian artist, Zoya Karapetyan, who welcomes us on the poignant musical notes of Komitas, the father of Armenian music. The artist Jean Boghossian of Armenian origin was born in Aleppo and lives in Brussels. He works mainly with flame, with smoke and fire. He sees the idea of destruction through the flame not as something that brings pain, but as an element that purifies the soul and the spirit, because destruction is always followed by rebirth. According to Zoya, Jean Boghossian's flame is not ruinous, but purifying and regenerating. Here, the memory and the story that gets burned brings a spectator back to the creation of imaginary sculptures from around the world. We find Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, Persian, Hebrew and, of course, Armenian. The source was designed for the hall of the mirrors of Ca Zenobio, and the scent that we smell in the air comes from the front room that is called brûlé, smoke. Jean Boghossian is fascinated by books and their suffering. The monumental work exhibited in the hall of the mirrors of Ca Zenobio is called Source and transforms burnt books into a universal prayer. Jean Boghossian works with different materials. He works with paper, with canvases. He uses acrylic painting, plastic. He also uses a little watercolor and pencils. But the main work, the main tool, is fire. It is always based on fire, flames and smoke. In the 14 rooms of Ca Zenobio, Jean Boghossian develops the paradox of creation through the primitive form of fire. In order to achieve renovation, he says, one is obliged to destroy and rebuild. During the history of Armenians, there was genocide. More than 1.5 million inhabitants of Anatolia were killed just because they were Christians. For the Armenians, the relationship with books is very particular. It has always been very particular. There is a story of a woman who saved herself from the massacres and has kept a prayer book in the foldings of her clothes. This way, a very old book has been preserved, and new generations have been able to touch it, to see it, to read it. This bond with books, with scriptures for all Armenians is very impactful, it's very important. And so is for Jean Boghossian. But by destroying books, he preserves memory in a certain way.
Lui preserva la memoria in un certo senso.